Maybe you remember my last video on airsoft mines, in which I mentioned to never buy one of those again. Poor feeding, cheap choice of material and unreliable motion sensors let me find a clear verdict. Most of the mines and trap solutions for airsoft out there are trash and not worth a penny. But there is one mine out there, and I'm surprised to say this myself, that actually does things a lot better than all its competitors. The Begadi M1 Airsoft Mine. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the airsoft shop of Begadi.com for making this video possible. They sent me this package so I can show you the pros and cons of the product without being restricted what to talk about. So I'm completely free in telling you my honest opinion here. Begadi was kind enough to send me the complete setup of the M1 Airsoft Mine, which consists of 3 separate products actually. There is the mine itself, which is triggered by a tripwire, an additional motion sensor for triggering the mine, and a spool unit for better storage and comfort when using the tripwire function. Let's focus on the mine itself for the beginning. It is constructed to work 100% mechanically and therefore is resistant against external influences such as water or dust. Begadi claims to have focused on sturdiness and reliability here. We will find out soon if this is true. My first impression when unboxing the mine was, wow, that's some heavy toy we're talking about. The mine is built in an absolute massive way, leaving no concern at all about breaking apart. If this mine falls to the ground, it will probably be your apartment's floor to get a scratch, and not the mine. Talking about numbers, we're dealing with a total weight of 796 grams here, which mainly results from the metal bottom plate. However, the mine is still very compact and should fit every regular airsoft backpack without any problems. In order to ensure maximum stability when being set up, Begadi also added a ground thorn to the package, so you can attach the mine to soft ground easily, for example in grassland territory or in the woods. The functionality of the M1 Airsoft Mine is quite simple. First, you remove the top end cap of the 3 BB holes and fill in your preferred weight. I recommend 0.2 gram BBs for maximum range and cost efficiency. Once the mine is placed and filled with BBs, you remove the safety splint and the mine is ready to be triggered. Usually you would attach the tripwire to the metal trigger arm, which I will explain later. Any slight pull on this arm will cause the mine to set off, so always wear proper eye protection even when still in the preparation process. The tripwire spool seems to be a quite useful add-on to the basic M1 Airsoft Mine. It is meant to be installed right under the mine's bottom plate, so its form factor is not to change. The installation could not be easier. Just connect the spool holder to the bottom plate by using the 3 screws which came with the product and make sure they are all sitting tight without any wobble. Afterwards, you can attach the tripwire of your personal choice. Possible options are sewing thread, fishing thread or even paracord. In my case, I used the paracord of my multi-tool for best visibility in the video, which probably is not what you would want in an in-game situation. After you connected one end of your tripwire to the spool and the other one to the trigger arm, the mine is ready for action. The sensitivity is adjusted quite well in my eyes. It does not set off when an ant will touch it, but a slight human impact will be enough, just as it should be. Once the opponent is hit and you want to start the mine again, it can be done in a few seconds. The process of setting up also takes a short time. When already filled with BBs, you can do it in under 30 seconds, I guess. This is how one possible use case of the M1 Airsoft Mine could look like. Let's see how it will work out there in the test scenario. Now that you got a first impression of the basic functionalities and the BB spread of the Begadi mine, it's time to go one step further. In order to unlock the mine's maximum potential, you can upgrade it by adding the motion sensor trigger. This gadget works electronically and gives you even more options to hit your opponents. But be aware that it's not as much water resistant as the basic mine. As you can see, the motion sensor trigger comes with a slightly different bottom plate and all the tools and screws for easy installation. The metal trigger arm just works as the one in the basic package does and can be used with a tripwire as well. But unfortunately, the spool add-on does not fit the new bottom plate. A tip for Begadi here: when adding 3 slightly longer screws, both upgrades could be combined. A very useful and simple improvement for a possible second generation of the mine in my eyes. The installation of the motion sensor trigger is not that difficult, but should be done step by step according to the manufacturer's instructions. Begadi published a very useful and detailed video for your assistance. I linked it for you in the upper right hand corner. Please note that you will need 2 9-volt block batteries for proper function of the M1 Airsoft Mine, as they are not included in the package. When completely assembled, the upgraded mine with the motion sensor and the ground thorn weighs 1 kilo and 92 grams. Also the size grew a bit, but I still would consider the mine to be compact enough to carry it around with your gear on the field to place it when it is needed. The claymore I tested before is of similar size, so you don't have to compromise here. Preparing the motion sensor is quite easy again. Once you place the mine in the desired spot, press the small button and the red LED will start to flash. As long as it does so, you have time to move away from it and search some cover. When the flashing stops, the trigger is active and will react to any larger movements in its field of sight. The feature I like most about the motion sensor trigger is the multiple ways it can be programmed. All the mines in my previous review suffered from oversensitivity, which should be no problem with the Begadi M1 anymore. Setting the time for the red LED to flash before activating the trigger is the first option you can change. I feel the illustrating picture for the programming process by Begadi is not 100% correct, so I also show you my way of doing it. The second programming option is the delay between a motion sensor signal and the actual triggering signal. For example, when the mine sees an opponent player, it will wait a certain time, such as 2 seconds, before it will actually set off. Let's see how I did this. Some quick final words before we're going to test the motion sensor. I feel the trigger arm on this unit needs a lot less force to be set off compared to the mechanical one tested before. So when setting up the mine with the motion sensor, you probably need to be a little more careful than with the tripwire solution. Let's see how sensitive the trigger on this airsoft mine actually is. First, I throw a couple of small branches in front of it to simulate only slight movements on the field, which are not caused by a human player. Up to this point, the sensor does a quite good job and does not react to the small movements. Also, the leaves in the background, being blown by the wind, do not confuse the mind. But what will a bag of BBs do when touching the ground right in front of it? Perfect! That's exactly the trigger response I'm expecting from a reliable mine in Airsoft. Good job, Begadi. Time to see how the mine will prove its worth in the live action test. As you probably guessed, I am quite impressed by the Begadi M1 Airsoft Mine. And especially when dealing with such kind of booby traps, I'm not easy to impress. The product seems to be reliable, simple and robust, exactly what I want an airsoft mine to be. For sure, there's always room for improvement. For example, if the tripwire spool could be connected to the motion sensor bottom plate, or if there was an option for some kind of a remote control in store. But hey, never say never. Who knows what will wait for us next? In the meantime, what are your thoughts on this airsoft mine? Do you already have one, or are you planning to get it soon? Feel free to write a comment down below. I am looking forward to reading from you. So long, have a good one.